In today's video, I'm going to show you how to paint bone in a few easy steps. Anyone can follow along because I'll guide you through everything step by step, and you can use any drawing software you have. For today, I'm going to use Photoshop. Make sure to download the swatches and full PSD file for free. The link is in the description below. I'm starting with the elliptical marquee tool, and by holding Shift on the keyboard, let's make a circle. Then with the bucket tool, fill up the circle with this light beige color. Now let's create a new clipping mask layer and select soft round pressure opacity brush. Bone is a solid material, so let's create a gradient to give it a more three-dimensional look. Color pick this brown and paint shadows on the bottom. Let's assume that the light is coming from the top right corner, so the shadows will be on this side of the sphere. The reason why I'm doing this material study on a sphere and not on a cube is that a circular shape can represent the shape of a skull, and in fact I'm using this skull as a reference for this material study. Now I'm adding a new layer and decreasing the size of the brush. I'm going to use hard round pressure opacity brush and color pick darker brown. Now lower the opacity of the brush, and what will we do now is create those cracked lines that you can see on the skull. Now remember that this is a material study, so we do not want to copy the exact skull for now, but we want to learn how this material behaves. As you can see, the surface of the bones is very uneven and there are so many different textures. Some parts are smooth and glossy while other parts are very textured and rough. Go back to the painting layer and choose a soft round pressure opacity brush and increase its size. With darker brown, we are going to paint these inner parts between the lines. We are now creating more dimension to it, and on the skull, these lines actually separate different parts of the skull. In this painting process, I'm color picking a lot, and not only from the swatches, but also from these shades created by mixing different tones. For example, when you use these opacity brushes, they will never leave a full opacity brush strokes, and it will create this in-between shade of color. And when you color pick that in-between shade, you can easily blend the colors and also create very interesting layers. And that is basically my technique for painting the bones. And if you have some texture brushes, feel free to use them. But for now, I'm only working with the default Photoshop brushes. Using a hard round pressure size brush, redraw the lines while focusing on controlling the thickness. This technique allows you to create the illusion of cracked lines. I'm returning to the painting layer and using hard round pressure opacity brush to add texture. I'm blending various shades by color picking and combining different swatch colors. Be patient at this stage. If you're not using some special brushes, it will take a little bit of time to achieve this type of texture by using only general brushes. I really like this brush because I can create that painterly look, and that's why I'm doing everything on the same layer. So if you're not feeling confident enough to paint everything on one layer, feel free to use as many layers as you need. But to be honest, I think painting on one layer can have several benefits. For example, it simplifies the workflow and you do not think too much if you made a mistake. You can easily correct it by coloring over it, and you can definitely easier make adjustments and make them simpler. Let me know in the comments if you have tried this and do you prefer this way of painting. Through this approach, we are gradually layering colors, which effectively generates the texture of the bone. Now we are going to paint this part of the skull just to practice different shapes, and I'm not sure what this part is called, so I'll insert the image. And I'm starting with the dark brown and making the shape, and then with the darkest color painting this inner part. Now I'm going to blend it with lighter brown and add the highlight on the opposite side of the light source. I'm continuing with the painting part, and I'm going into more details. For these smaller stains, I'm painting darker spots and then color picking the nearest lighter color and going over it to create that uneven texture. I'm also darkening those lines to indicate that there are cuts, and the rest of the painting process is honestly just adding more details, little stains, and blending if you need to. These lines represent cuts on the bone, so we need to make sure to add highlights on the opposite side of the light source, because that side is more exposed to the light that is coming from the right. Make sure to study the reference and try to understand what you see. Some key points I try to spot are how light is reflecting on this material, whether is it a smooth or rough surface, whether is it transparent, semi-transparent, or solid, and how colors behave, and does it have multiple colors or variations of only one color. And this material really reminds me of stones. It's rough but also smooth with different textures on the surface. Maybe it's just me, but that helped me to understand more when I was painting this. And you can maybe add some green or purple to indicate how old is the bone. That would also look interesting as a more stylized asset. As the final two steps, make a new layer on top of everything and change the blending mode to multiply. With a soft round brush, color pick the light brown and paint on the bottom of the sphere to darken it a little bit more. And for the highlighted area, make another layer, but this one change to overlay. Color pick the highlight color from the sphere and paint it on the top. And that's it for this material study. I hope you find something useful in today's video. If so, please make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to download your free goodies. Watch other videos from the series to learn how to paint other materials, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!